dead after being shot by police in Minneapolis, what the chief says led up to the gunfire.
Plus, 3 first responders, sheriff's deputies shot in Illinois, how they are faring this morning.
And this church refusing to let their joy go up in smoke, how the congregation is picking up the pieces after a suspicious fire.
Plus, St. Paul, the capital city of Minnesota, could crack down on drive-thrus. A look at what is being considered. Good morning and welcome to WCCO Mornings. We're streaming live on CBS News Minnesota. I'm AJ Hilton.
And I'm Heather Brown. Thanks so much for being on the stream with us this morning. We begin with breaking news. Minneapolis police shot and killed a man overnight.
So we understand this started just after 9 o'clock. Police believe 2 separate incidents were related to this case, and our Pauline Lee is live near the scene with what we know so far. Pauline, give us your location in South Minneapolis.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, we're right off of Hiawatha Avenue, right between 35th and 33rd Avenue here. And it's business as usual this morning because the scene cleared maybe just a couple of hours ago. In fact, there's a daycare here as families are dropping off their children for the morning here. But this overnight, it was just a very different scene here. Let's take you out and let's map it out so you can see what happened here. We mentioned there were 2 calls. The first call came in just after 9 last night. A resident says that they saw a man in the 3000 block of 29th Avenue with a gun who had appeared to have been talking to himself, and they were concerned. The second call came in about 16 minutes later, and that caller had said that they saw someone on the 3400 block of Hiawatha, also with a gun, and appeared to be acting irrational. Now, Chief Brian O'Hara says police found the man on Hiawatha and began running after him. He says there was a confrontation when the chase ended, with police telling him several times to drop the gun, but he did not listen. Officers ultimately shot him. He was taken to the hospital where he died from his injuries. With the rising concern over officers using deadly force in recent years, here's what Police Chief Brian O'Hara had to say about the incident overnight.
From this and all the information that I have available to me, I have no reason to think that this is anything other than a justifiable and lawful use of force by police officers.
Now, the BCA is taking over the investigation. They were here overnight collecting evidence and combing the streets. Again, the crime scene had cleared about a couple of hours ago. Chief O'Hara says 4 officers were involved. 3 of them fired their weapons. And they also said that the gun that was recovered at the scene that was being held by the man, it appeared to have been jammed. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
I mean, we're just 2 weeks from Officer Jamal Mitchell being shot and killed. We know it's been a challenging time for the Minneapolis Police Department. All right, Pauline, thank you.
I want to cover some national news this morning because authorities say 3 sheriff's deputies shot while responding to a home. This is in northern Illinois. So we understand authorities say the suspect also hurt, threatening to kill himself along with others. All this taking place inside a gated community that's in Dixon, which is southwest of Rockford. The sheriff says that everyone injured is in good condition, so that's a great news update. The local hospital says 2 of the people have already been treated and released.
A fallen hero is back in his childhood hometown this morning. An airplane carrying Minneapolis police officer Jamal Mitchell landed in Connecticut. This was late yesterday afternoon. A line of police cars then escorted his family back to New Haven, where he grew up. The city's mayor said that Officer Mitchell had strong roots in their community as well. A funeral service and burial is planned for early next week. Officer Mitchell died trying to help the gunman who killed him. And this chaotic shooting last month left 2 other victims dead. The surviving victims include another police officer and a firefighter. Police also killed the gunman. Officer Mitchell is survived by his fiancée and 4 children. You can help support them by donating to a memorial fund. You can find those details at WCCO.com.
A suspicious fire couldn't stop a church congregation from making a joyful noise. That's because someone broke into St. Jerome Catholic Church in Maplewood Sunday morning. They set a keyboard and an American flag on fire. Well, firefighters doused those flames, but worshipers celebrated Mass anyway, despite the smoky smell.
I was hearing all these people singing their hearts out, and it was kind of like the Who's down in Whoville. You know, the Grinch couldn't steal our joy.
The music director says she'll keep thanking God that no one was hurt and let police handle the rest. The FBI and ATF are also on the case.
Members of the Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests, or SNAP, are accusing the Archdiocese of hiding predator priests. The SNAP network says that 5 priests known to be abusers in other dioceses are currently in the Twin Cities. Now, they're asking the Archbishop to make the names public. Group says that the men are a threat to children who might have contact with them.
Tempting to think that maybe Archbishop Hebda just overlooked these names, but it's very hard for us to believe that, because some of these men have been outed by other church officials 5 and 6 and 7 years ago.
So in a statement, the Archbishop Bernard Hebda said, in part, per our policy and protocol, we have already begun the process of investigating the names of the individuals brought forward today. If the criteria are satisfied, we will add the names as we have done on previous occasions. Hebda thanked the victims for bringing these names to his attention.
Did this happen to you? Because last night we saw heavy hail pounding picnic tables, trees twisting in the wind. Look at those bending, and then strong storms rumbling all throughout Minnesota. The night also brought several suspected tornado touchdowns up north.
So the damage reports are rolling in. There's lots of downed trees in the Brainerd Lakes area, like this one that actually dropped on Darlette's house last night.
And check out this mess. This is just north of Crosby. A lot of cleanup to do. There's a street under all those broken branches. Some of those branches actually impaled the siding and shingles of this house. You see that? The wind also flipped over someone's unlucky camper. Oh my goodness, right on its head. Not what you want to see, but I'll tell you what, Joseph Dames, you talked about this last night. You warned us that if we saw the sun in the middle of the day, that would really heat up the atmosphere, and we saw that strong line of storms roll through last night.
Yeah, that was really up north, because if you remember, we had the rain and we had some storms to early afternoon here around the Twin Cities. That really limited our chance for some storms until that line moved down to the south. So we didn't have much here around the Twin Cities in the evening and even the early nighttime hours. But boy, oh boy, up north, yeah, especially through areas of Aiken County, out through Stearns County. This is where we had wind damage. We just saw some of that video coming out of the Crosby area. So we had some tough moments last night. Up to the north, a lot of hail. Remember, hail was that big priority as far as what we could hopefully avoid yesterday. But yeah, we saw a lot of hail reports too. This morning, it's nice. It's nice to at least have a bit of a break. But there's some rain that's moving in out to the west. And this system out west is going to continue to travel to the east and a little bit to the south. If you're along 94 Alexandria to St. Cloud, you're probably going to avoid this. Even the Twin Cities is going to be fairly close as it does push to the east and things get a little more saturated. But right now it's humid out there. We have dew points in the 60s. We have some moisture to work with. So it's definitely possible that we do pick up a couple rain showers, I think between the windows of 9 and 11 a.m. here this morning. Here's where the rain is right now, out towards Marshall and 59 up through Montevideo and areas like Canby. Today we get to 82 degrees in the Twin Cities with that chance for some showers in the morning. Just trying to pick up on maybe a few things popping up this afternoon as well, but I think we probably avoid that. Up to the north today, I have temperatures in the 70s and 80s. We'll be in the lower 80s around here. Again, the afternoon is going to be beautiful. This evening is going to be really nice as well. Owatonna today coming in at about 80 degrees. I know you have some plans for the weekend. We have Saturday bringing in some rain, and Sunday it gets a little warm and humid, and maybe some storms for Father's Day. I'll break down your weekend forecast coming up about 10 minutes.
All right, Joseph, thank you. Let's take a look at your next drive now. Start you out with the Metro map. Things actually looking pretty good out here this morning. We're seeing lots of green, that 494. That's usually pretty busy this time of morning, but there is the one exclamation point. Let's take you out to Woodbury there because we do have a crash. This is right at Radio Drive. I know the camera says Keats and Woodbury, but Radio Drive here. We understand that medics have been called. Not clear on what the injuries are right now, but the right lane is blocked. This is a box car and a truck, box truck and a car that were there. I'm going to take you back a camera or two so you can see. Here is the backup. This going back to Manning there. Let me take you back one more and see what that looks like. Two more. There we go. Okay, so it's not too bad.
All right.
So if you have to make your way through there, trying to make your way into town on 94 westbound there in Woodbury, we'll keep following this for you, let you know when this all clears up.
Minnesota Senate Ethics Panel pressed pause on a complaint against DFL Senator Nicole Mitchell yet again. Mitchell faces one count of first-degree felony, burglary, in connection to a break-in at her stepmother's home in April. She denies any wrongdoing. Republicans swiftly filed an ethics complaint against her, saying her conduct violated Senate rules. The panel heard testimony last month, but a hearing yesterday was delayed until July 1st.
Political dynamics have shifted. The legal dynamics are what they are here. And I would agree that it still does warrant at least having a July 25th meeting to revisit what we know at that time, and there could definitely be information.
Mitchell's attorney told the panel her defense team thinks it'll take several months before there's a final judgment in her case.
Let's take a live look now at Capitol Hill this morning. This is where House Republicans want America's top prosecutor prosecuted. So GOP lawmakers voted to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. So this has to deal with interview transcripts from President Joe Biden's classified documents investigation that are already public. But Republicans demanded the audio recordings. The White House says that critics only want to play them in politics during an election year.
Now, President Biden is facing his own issues with the court this morning. The ACLU is suing him over his new border laws.
So his executive action will bar migrants that are crossing the border illegally from seeking asylum when the average daily threshold is met. In the lawsuit, the ACLU argues the measure violates U.S. immigration law and the Administrative Procedure Act.
That decision by the Biden administration to restrict the number of asylum seekers crossing the southern border is fueling the debate about what to call America's broken immigration system.
So for those who are allowed to enter the country, the U.S. is using a little-known program to monitor migrants. CBS's Tom Hansen reports.
A lot of the stuff that we hear, given the current situation, is that when migrants get here, they arrive in the U.S. and then poof, they disappear.
Sure.
Is that true?
It's not, no. I've actually spent time along the border looking at the processing that happens for migrants. So I was there recently looking at migrants who recently arrived, and for most of them, they get processed through processing centers along the border.
Migrants have attempted to unlawfully cross the southern border more than 1.5 million times so far in fiscal year 2024, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Austin Coker, a professor at Syracuse University, has been following the influx.
Or wherever they go in the country. So whether they're going to Miami or New York or Chicago, they have to stay in contact with ICE.
Here's how it works. When asylum seekers enter the U.S., Immigration and Customs Enforcement decides whether they're deported, detained, or tracked by GPS technology like an ankle monitor. In 2018, ICE rolled out something new, an app called SmartLink.
When they get handed that smartphone, there's an enrollment process. They can do check-ins using facial recognition technology to confirm it's them. And then wherever they go in the country, that app will also monitor their location geographically each time they open the app.
Following the guidelines.
ICE considers this app a solution to keeping track of migrants as they make their way through the immigration court system. But CBS News has learned the agency struggles to determine how effective the technology actually is.
So let's go through this just a little bit more.
To find out, this ICE agent gave us a rare demonstration of how the app works. We'll show you coming up on CBS News.
And you can learn more about how this monitoring app works, how it's used here in Minnesota. That'll be right here on WCCO on CBS News Minnesota at 5 o'clock tonight.
Still to come, it's a growing trend in the ever-evolving workforce, 4-day work weeks.
But what are the benefits they carry? That's next in this morning's Good Question.
And there might be a ban on new fast food drive-thrus in St. Paul. The reason city leaders say they want to make the change and what it means for existing ones.
check back in on your next drive. You can see the Metro map here looking pretty good. We do, though, I know that exclamation point is now gone in Woodbury, but the incident is still here. So let's take you out there. So this is a car and a truck that were in a crash. You can see that that lane is closed in this spot. So this is 94 westbound. So this is coming here into the cities here. I'm going to take you back a couple cameras, take you back here to Manning. You can see it's slowing down spots there. This is, I don't know, going on for about 20 minutes now or so. So we'll keep an eye on this for you. We know a lot of our viewers coming in from western Wisconsin are going to be a bit of a slowdown. But the good news is it's not going all the way back. So there you go. This is right at Stagecoach Trail. Things moving along smoothly. So it should be a short slowdown, I should say, if you are moving through this area. So there is a chance that many of you have had 3 days off in a row. A survey of 100 CEOs found that nearly a third of them are exploring the idea of a 4-day or a 4.5-day work week. But what are the benefits of a 4-day work week? It's a good question. Jeff Wagner explains some of the traits that helped businesses extend their weekends.
If fresh air, sunshine, and a hands-on connection to nature sound nice to you, there's a job opening at Homesown Gardens.
The labor is very intense that we do.
But with that comes an extra day of rest, since the full-time staff work 4 10-hour days. Tammy Gallagher is the owner.
It could be they work 4 in a row, or it could be that they have 2 on, 2 off. It really just varies.
Why is your business model conducive to a 4-day work week?
Most of our work is done between the months of April and November. So we have to take advantage of every opportunity of daylight hours that is available.
From home gardens to work from home.
I think we might be getting more done in 32 hours than we were before at 40.
Mike Arney's team at Halftone Digital, a company that creates apps, work Monday through Thursday.
I think we're in a really, honestly, a pretty privileged position just working within the digital field. It allows this level of flexibility.
What prompted a change to a 4-day work week?
Well, I think the pandemic changed everything. We realized that we could be just as efficient working from home.
Whether working 4 days out of necessity or realized opportunity, both businesses feel the benefit of a 3-day weekend.
I think, work hard, play hard is kind of our motto.
It's true work-life balance, in my opinion.
In 2022, 61 companies participated in a trial switching to a 4-day workweek model for 6 months. Some were Monday to Thursday, others sprinkled the 3rd day off where possible. At the end, 92% of the companies stuck with the 4-day workweek, many of them permanently. Workers reported feeling less stress and burnout, productivity held steady, and worker retention improved.
We do not struggle to hire.
Overwhelmingly, 89% of U.S. workers want a 4-day work week, but only 12% say it's an option at their employer.
There's an inherent hesitation to do something that is seemingly just so drastic.
Arney recognizes not every sector, such as education, can so easily switch to 4 days or split up work days across a longer work week like Homesown Gardens. But he asks, why not try?
I think that there's a lot that can be done with pilot programs for maybe even just a month to say, like, okay, what does this really look like towards in affecting our bottom line? What does this look like towards morale?
With photojournalist Jose Pascual, Jeff Wagner, WCCO News.
A survey did find 89% of people would make sacrifices to have that 4-day work week, like working longer hours or changing jobs. So that leads us to our question of the day. How do you feel about the 4-day work week? Would you prefer one? I'd love to know this. Do you think that you would have to work longer days in those 4 days? Would you like it to be on a Friday? I just find this to be very interesting. I think someone in there said it best. He said, yeah, I think I get more done in 32 hours than 40. Let us know, WCCO.com/connect, and we'll check back in with you coming up in just a bit. A proposal could pump the brakes on drive-through fast food in the state's capital city. This coming 5 years after Minneapolis banned new drive-through facilities within city limits. St. Paul leaders believe that these changes could increase pedestrian safety. The ban just on new construction, though. Businesses that already have drive-through windows, they can keep them. They get grandfathered in. The St. Paul city planner says that this service model does not align with the city's plan.
Our long-range plan for the city is for our new development to be generally more pedestrian and transit-oriented, and drive-throughs are, generally speaking, contrary to that.
Planning Commission will not make a recommendation to the full council until at least August. And coming up, we will have another update on your next weather, plus more of this morning's top headlines. Then, Minnesota welcomes the First Lady today. Why Jill Biden will be coming to the land of 10,000 lakes and where you can see her. And a project with a purpose, how one Minnesota man is making life more accessible for people of all abilities.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
7:26 now. We will have Joseph Dames coming up with your next weather forecast in just a minute. But first, the BCA is investigating. This after Minneapolis police shot and killed a man overnight. They say that 2 calls came in just after 9 o'clock. One was near 29th Avenue, the other near Hiawatha, both for a man with a gun who was acting irrationally. So police say that there was a chase and then a confrontation with the man. Police told him, they say, to drop the gun several times, but he did not listen. They say the man was taken to the hospital where he died from his injuries. Police also telling us that the gun recovered at the scene appears to have been jammed. Let's take a look now at your next drive. You can check out the Metro map. Things actually looking pretty good quite across the Metro here, but we do have that one exclamation point. I do want to take you out to Woodbury. This is 94 westbound. This is a car and a truck. You can see that lane is closed over there in that spot. Now I want to take you out a little bit this way to show you the backup. It's not a giant backup there. This goes back to Manning, but you should be able to make your way with a slight delay if you're coming in 94 westbound through Woodbury. Joseph?
Okay, we're going to see some clouds kind of building in as we go through the next hour or two. We're watching these showers out to the west, and they're moving to the east here. If we see any sort of rain here this morning, I think they're going to go just to the south of us. It's going to be between the window of probably about 9 and 11 a.m. I'll zoom on in over towards Marshall. That rain is coming down right now. I'll leave you with the high today, 82 degrees. More at CBS News Minnesota.
watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
We are continuing to follow breaking news. Minneapolis police shot and killed a man overnight. What Police Chief Brian O'Hara is saying about whether it was justified.
Plus, the report expected to be released today for the Feeding Our Future fraud trial as FBI agents raid homes for answers.
And she went missing after dropping her 2 kids off at daycare. The victory in court for the man accused of killing Madeline Kingsbury.
And a simple solution to a parking problem for people who use accessible vehicles. How a small piece of metal is opening doors to freedom.
Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday morning. I'm A.J. Hilton.
And I'm Heather Brown. We begin this morning with breaking news. The BCA investigating after Minneapolis police shot and killed a man overnight.
We know this happened as police responded to 2 calls for help within 3 miles of each other. This is in southeast Minneapolis.
Now, police believe that the 2 calls were related, both mentioning a man with a gun acting irrationally. The first call came in just after 9 last night. This is on the 3000 block of the 29th Avenue. That's not 29th Avenue, I should say. It's in the Standish neighborhood. Second call coming in about 16 minutes later. That was on the 3400 block of Hiawatha, which is about 3 miles from the first location.
So Police Chief Brian O'Hara says police eventually found a man on Hiawatha who fit the description given on the calls, and they began to chase him. They say there was a confrontation at the end of the chase. The chief says officers asked the man several times to drop his gun. The man did not listen. Of the 4 officers involved, 3 shot the man. He did go to the hospital where he died from his injuries.
I'm thankful that no one else was harmed from the community by this. Because it appears that we have a case of someone who is armed, threatening folks in 2 different places here, and just not acting normally.
Chief O'Hara says he stands by his officers on their decision to shoot the man. He also says the gun they recovered from the man appears to have been jammed.
So yesterday, armed federal agents raided a string of suburban homes searching for answers. They want to know who tried to bribe a juror with a gift bag packed with cash. WCCO's David Schumann spoke with a surprised neighbor about what she witnessed.
This is the FBI. Come to the front door, your hands up.
An FBI raid accompanied Candy Hansen's morning coffee Wednesday.
Then all of a sudden I hear loud yelling outside. It scared me. I kind of creep out the window to see what's going on, and here's about 5, 6 undercover police officers and the FBI, banging on the doors and yelling.
She watched as women and children were shuttled out of the house across the street from her in Savage. What she didn't know is similar raids were also happening at a second home in Savage, along with Burnsville and Shakopee. Our cameras were there in the afternoon to see FBI agents outside that house in Shakopee. All 4 raided homes belonging to defendants convicted in the Feeding Our Future fraud trial that wrapped up last week. 5 people were found guilty in the case that involves stealing more than $40 million from a program meant to feed children during the pandemic. A thunderbolt hit the trial on its last day when someone delivered $120,000 in cash to a juror's home, a presumed bribe attempt. That juror called police and was dismissed from the trial. The FBI is in charge of investigating where that money came from.
Ransacked everything in the house. They were there for a couple hours. I didn't expect this out of today. I would have never expected it from them. They're the nicest people in the world. It's crazy.
2 defendants in the case were acquitted, but there are still 45 more people expected to go on trial for the fraud scheme, which prosecutors say added up to $250 million. 18 people have already pleaded guilty. David Schumann, WCCO News.
Happening today, a man accused of helping terrorists will be sentenced. So here's the backstory here. In 2015, at the age of 18, Abdelhamid Al-Medium left Minnesota with his family to visit Morocco. Well, he then left his family to go to Syria in the middle of the night at the instruction of an ISIS recruiter. He was a soldier for ISIS until 2019 when he surrendered to Syrian Democratic Forces. Fast forward to 2021 when he pleaded guilty to providing support to ISIS. His defense says he's a different person now, but he will be sentenced at 11 o'clock this morning.
New this morning, a change of venue has been granted for the man who's accused of killing Madeline Kingsbury. Now, she is the woman from Monona who went missing after dropping her 2 children off at daycare in March of last year. Adam Fravel, her ex-boyfriend, was accused of her murder after her body was found. Now, because of the case's publicity, Winona County will no longer be the one trying Fravel. The court hasn't figured out which county to move the case to.
A Minneapolis man is facing new charges after being indicted for bombing a hair salon. This happened back in November of 2022 at Studio 411 in the Bryn Mawr neighborhood. Well, a Ring video camera from the salon caught a man using handmade explosives to damage the inside and outside of the business. A year later, new video caught the accused man throwing a rock through the hair salon's window. He was initially charged back in April for damaging a business. He's now charged with 1 count of malicious use of explosive materials to damage a Minneapolis property. The First Lady is in Minnesota to win over older voters today. Jill Biden plans to visit Duluth. This is part of the campaign's push to sway seniors. Outreach efforts in swing states will include things like rallies, phone banks, and social events, things like bingo nights.
A recent poll found that President Joe Biden leads former President Donald Trump 45 to 41% in the state. So no Republican presidential candidate has won Minnesota in 50 years. Meanwhile, President Biden is in Italy. The G7 summit is set to get started today. The group could end up announcing more funding for the war in Ukraine. So we do know last night's storms brought some serious damage across the state. High winds destroying this boat. This is over on the upper Whitefish Lake near Pequot Lakes. Something you don't see every day here. Yeah, a lot of white splashes. Those are hailstones that are slamming into the lake. And we do have new video from the damage near Crosby.
Oh my God. Oh, I wonder what my house looks like.
So this camper, a new view of the damage in Crow Wing County. Flipped camper trees down. This here at Rabbit Lake, no word yet on if anybody was hurt. Now, Joseph, you warned us about this yesterday. We didn't get much here in the metro, but they sure got it up north.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, very strong line of thunderstorms yesterday between about 5:30 and into about 9 p.m. And then we had kind of leftover thunderstorms last night closer to about midnight. And that was about it for us outside of our window in the morning. It was a tough start yesterday, and it was a tough finish yesterday evening. I do have some dry time in the forecast today. That's good. And also tomorrow before we kind of get back to some rain. So I think we get about 48 hours of some dry time to work with. I do, without getting too deep into it, I do have a small window for some showers, though, this morning. So, yeah, we have about 48 hours of some dry time, but there's a small, brief window here from about 9 to 11 where we may see a couple showers. Really nice on Friday. Saturday, we get back to the rain, maybe even some soaking rain down to the south. And then Father's Day there, I have us warmer with the chance for a few isolated thunderstorms there in the morning. You can see the view right now. Green tops, a little shaky out there, and the clouds are starting to move on in. Where are the clouds coming from? They're coming from this right here, this batch of some rain just out to the west. So this is what we're going to be tracking through the morning hours. And we're already starting to see the cloud coverage nosing on in. The timing of that rain would be between about 9 and 11 there. It looks like it's going to veer to the south of us, but if you're in Carver County, Scott County, down into Nicollet County, any of the counties really south of Hennepin, you have a pretty good shot to see some light rain and maybe even some steady rain here as we work through the morning. Watch the forecast. I'll put it into motion. Here's 9 a.m. There you go. The front edges here, still bringing in rain out to the west, though. And then it finally all kind of peels out if you're closer to lunchtime. But there's a good possibility that we're holding on to the clouds till about 1 or 2 p.m. today. Once we break through the clouds, we warm up very quickly, and any sort of threat for showers will be down to the south. And then we are completely dry here around the 94 corridor and out to the west until we get to probably Saturday evening, and then things all change up at that point in time. Friday we're good, but late Friday night we start seeing some clouds and maybe a couple stray showers, but I'm not too concerned about that. It's going to be what follows Saturday evening, which is going to be the soaking rain around here, especially to the south. We'll go from 82 to 74 and then back to the 80s. Father's Day, be ready for a hot and humid day. There is a 20% chance for some isolated thunderstorms on Sunday. I think most of the day will be dry, but if we see anything, it's probably earlier in the day. Watch the forecast here at 4:30 on Saturday. So I brought us to Saturday. I think we're still dry, but the system pulls in from the south here. It's going to get very wet, I think, Saturday night, holding into probably about midnight. Into the early mornings on Sunday there for Father's Day, and then it all kind of peels up to the north and east. Now here's 3:15, and it's still showing maybe some rain, so the forecast on Sunday may adjust a little bit, but for now we're going to lean on the drier side. I think it's overplaying Sunday's forecast a bit. All right, 83 on Monday, 89 on Tuesday, 85 on Wednesday. I also want to point out we have yet to hit 90 degrees. We have a couple days, Father's Day, and probably early next week we have a shot at hitting 90. Even if we don't, it's going to be hot, it's going to be humid, and maybe a little stormy.
I see what you did there. You spoke it into existence, Joseph. You put it out there because We see.
I think you're right. I think you're right. We'll see. We'll come back. We'll revisit about Wednesday.
All right, Joseph, thank you. Let's focus on your next drive right now. Let's take a look at the traffic map. We're following one crash that's going to be over in the Woodbury area. We've showed you this before. Let's go ahead and pull it up for you now. So this is the scene. This is 94. This is at County Road 19. This is going to be westbound. So for all of our friends who are coming in from western Wisconsin, if you are coming in from Lakeland, this is what you're going to run into. Looks like traffic is able to get by. Let's also take a look at the backup here because it's not necessarily growing. As a matter of fact, it's actually getting better. Here's the view from 94 at Manning Avenue. So give yourself maybe an extra 5 minutes. This is a construction zone here too, but you can see traffic moving smoothly at Stagecoach Trail. So again, give yourself a few extra minutes. You should be fine, but otherwise the Metro looking pretty good on this Thursday.
So almost every place we go has handicap parking, but that does not necessarily mean that people who use wheelchairs can park there.
Susan Elizabeth Littlefield shows us how a suburban dad is trying to change that from his own garage.
It's a project engineer Brett Thorne never imagined he'd be working on.
So I started in the garage, building it out of 2x4s, building it out of whatever I could find laying around.
And now he's found purpose after watching his beloved cousin in a pinch.
We had to go visit the restaurant manager, trying to figure out whose car it was, get it moved so that she can put her ramp down and we can be on with our day.
So when you saw what Katerina was going through, it just kind of got you.
Really seeing it firsthand and having to deal with it is really when it became clear how big of an issue it is.
The woes of navigating handicap parking are well documented. So Brett, an engineer by day, got to work by night in his Chanhassen garage.
And Katerina just said, if only there was something that I could put out on the side of my vehicle that would stop people from parking there. And I was like, I think I could build you that.
And he did. Spot Saver is officially on the market. Brett says so far he has about 200 of these on back order, and he's heard from people as far away as Australia and the United Kingdom.
That was actually a huge surprise to me when I saw how many people commented on it, liked it, viewed it, shared it. It was pretty amazing feedback.
He and Katerina just had their first trade show in hopes of showing the world more dignity. With photojournalist Joe Berglove in Chanhassen, Susan Elizabeth Littlefield, WCCO News.
The Spot Saver costs $450. It is available online. We do have some new details about that e-bike rebate program that failed to launch. Technical problems forced the state to shut down its sign-up website just last week. We still do not know when it will reopen, but when it does, we know that just 10,000 submissions will be accepted. That's because of the high demand.
State only expects to hand out about 1,300 rebates this year. They are worth up to $1,500 based on how much you make and what kind of e-bike you buy.
Coming up, if you have been out to eat recently, you know food prices are still very high. We're going to take a look at exactly how much more you're paying right now.
Plus, celebrating Prince at the Twins game, the special giveaways that are happening tonight.
For your money this morning, let me tell you what, the cost of eating out continues to go up. Newly released inflation data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that prices at sit-down restaurants rose almost a half percentage point this month. Prices at fast food restaurants also went up 0.2%. The thing is, compare that to data from the last 12 months. It paints an even clearer picture because prices at sit-down restaurants rose 3.5% overall, and prices jumped 4.5% at fast food and casual joints as well. Of course, passing that buck on to you because food prices are going up. There is a new poll that finds Americans are fed up with the massive salary and bonuses that CEOs get because for the third year in a row, the vast majority of Americans say companies have failed to manage the pay disparity between chief executives and average employees. That's according to early findings from an upcoming Bentley University Gallup poll shared with CNN. 66% of Americans say companies are doing a poor job, with just 13% saying they're doing a good or excellent job. Today, there's a good opportunity for business owners of color because the third annual BIPOC Business Expo, it's taking place at the Metropolitan Economic Development Association headquarters. That's on Penn Avenue in Minneapolis. This is a chance for minority business owners to network and learn from industry experts. It lasts from 3 until 7 tonight. And the state of Minnesota is researching whether there are disparities when it comes to helping women and minority-led businesses. The study provides data about marketplace conditions, and that information will be used to determine new targeted business programs and if existing programs should be continued. That study should be finished by next summer. Right now, we want to get another check of the forecast. Joseph Dames is standing by.
Well, the calm after the storms from yesterday. Happy Thursday. We should have some dry time today. Time to be outside and not have to worry about those storms developing, especially up north today. 70s to upper 70s, maybe some lower 80s out there towards Wadena and Brainerd and over towards the areas of Aiken County here. Those temperatures about the same. We'll top off around 82 in Anoka, Hastings 83, and down to the south today, a few passing showers early.
All right, Joseph, thank you. Let's focus on your next drive this morning. I want to take you back out to Woodbury, and this is definitely good news. Here's the viewpoint from 94 at County Road 19, Woodbury Drive, and it looks like that crashing that we are following looks to be in the clearing stages because traffic is picking up again. That was a crash that was headed westbound, so headed toward the cities this morning. But again, the good news looks like that has since cleared up, which is great news for anyone. Let's take a look at the backup camera here. Let's see what we're finding here. Okay, a little bit of slowdown, but there's a construction zone too. But this is typical, so definitely good news if you are heading out the way, if you're leaving from Hudson or if you're leaving from Lakeland and you're making your way toward the cities. As always, we work hard to make sure you are up to date with the latest news and the weather developments all day here on the stream. And here's something new this morning. The state wants your opinion on changes to licenses for child care providers. Today's standards, they've been around since the 80s, and the next listening session that's scheduled for Monday, taking place at Rivers Edge Convention Center, that's up in St. Cloud, runs from 6 until 8 p.m. By the way, you can also weigh in on the changes through an online survey. That online survey is available through July 15th. And happening today, the Twinkies, hosting the 7th Prince Night at Target Field. Of course, this celebrates the life, the legacy of the Minnesota music icon. Also important to note, this is the 40th anniversary of his legendary Purple Rain movie and album. So there are 2 different ticket options and giveaways. If you buy the special limited quantity tickets, you get into the game and you also get an exclusive Prince track jacket. And then the first 5,000 fans will get a purple Prince baseball hat. Twins take on the Oakland A's. We don't even care who the Twins play. It's Prince night. They're taking on the A's. That's happening at 6:40. Hey, want to know if you played along with today's poll? Let's see what you are saying when it comes to would you prefer a 4-day work week? I mean, no one is surprised by these responses. 92% of you saying yes, sign me up now. 8% saying wouldn't work with my job. Joseph, I do not think that a 4-day work week would work with our jobs. Just putting it out there now. Nonetheless, continue to sound off. You can also leave your comments, leave your 2 cents. Scan the QR code. It's on your screen. We'll read more of your comments as we continue on into hour 4. But right now, we'll be back with more news headlines after we take a quick break.
watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm A.J. Hilton. Joseph Dames will have your next weather forecast in just a minute. But first, today, a Minnesota man accused of helping terrorists will be sentenced. In 2015, at the age of 18, Abdelhamid Al-Medium left Minnesota with his family to visit Morocco. He then left his family to go to Syria in the middle of the night at the instruction of an ISIS recruiter, a soldier for ISIS until 2019 when he surrendered to Syrian Democratic Forces. Fast forward to 2021. That's when he pleaded guilty to providing support to ISIS. His defense says he's a different person now. Nonetheless, he will be sentenced at 11 o'clock this morning. When it comes to your next drive, we actually have had something that has just popped up in just the last few minutes. We've got a vehicle on fire. This is going to be on 35W southbound. This is down in Burnsville. So again, you can see fire crews on scene. MnDOT telling us no one hurt, but the right two lanes, they are blocked right now. So again, this is southbound headed out of town. Let's quickly take a look at the detour here. This is the viewpoint from 35W at Burnsville Parkway. And here's one more camera for you at 35 and Highway 13. So not backing up that far just yet. Joseph Dames, I know you're keeping close tabs on the forecast too.
Yeah, you can see that the clouds have definitely moved on in from some of those live camera video shots right there. And here's the cloud coverage right over the top of us. Rain moving in from the southwest. We'll see some of those icons transition over to rain icons here shortly. But rain's traveling to the east if we see some showers here between 9 and 11. Updates at CBS News Minnesota.
To the gunfire.
Then this church refusing to let their joy go up in smoke. How a congregation is picking up the pieces after a suspicious fire.
Then yesterday's severe weather left a trail of damage across the state. See who was hit with hail and who ended up dodging those evening storms.
Also, a little bit later, how a clever invention is getting disabled golfers back to standing and swinging. Good morning and welcome to WCCO Mornings. We're streaming live on CBS News Minnesota. I'm AJ Hilton.
And I'm Heather Brown. Thanks for being on the stream with us. We do want to get straight to your top headlines right now. We begin with breaking news. Minneapolis police shot and killed a man overnight.
We know this started just after 9 o'clock last night. Police believe 2 separate incidents were related in this case. Our Pauline Lee has more.
Yeah, we're right off of Hiawatha Avenue, right between 35th and 33rd Avenue here, and it's business as usual this morning because the scene cleared maybe just a couple of hours ago. In fact, there's a daycare here as families are dropping off their children for the morning here. But this overnight, it was just a very different scene here. Let's take you out and let's map it out so you can see what happened here. As we mentioned, there were 2 calls. The first call came in just after 9 last night. A resident says that they saw a man in the 3000 block of 29th Avenue with a gun who had appeared to have been talking to himself, and they were concerned. The second call came in about 16 minutes later, and that caller had said that they saw someone on the 3400 block of Hiawatha, also with a gun, and appeared to be acting irrational. Now, Chief Brian O'Hara says police found the man on Hiawatha and began running after him. He says there was a confrontation when the chase ended, with police telling him several times to drop the gun, but he did not listen. Officers ultimately shot him. He was taken to the hospital where he died from his injuries. With the rising concern over officers using deadly force in recent years, here's what Police Chief Brian O'Hara had to say about the incident overnight.
From this and all the information that I have available to me, I have no reason to think that this is anything other than a justifiable and lawful use of force by police officers.
Now, the BCA is taking over the investigation. They were here overnight collecting evidence and combing the streets. Again, the crime scene had cleared about a couple of hours ago. Chief O'Hara says 4 officers were involved. 3 of them fired their weapons. And they also said that the gun that was recovered at the scene that was being held by the man, it appeared to have been jammed.
Pauline Lee reporting for us from Minneapolis this morning. Thank you. A fallen hero back in his childhood hometown this morning. A plane carrying Minneapolis police officer Jamal Mitchell had landed in Connecticut late yesterday afternoon. A line of police cars then escorted his family back to New Haven, where he grew up. The city's mayor said that Officer Mitchell had strong roots in their community as well. Funeral service and burial are planned for early next week. Now, Officer Mitchell died trying to help the gunman who killed him. The chaotic shooting last month left 2 other victims dead. Surviving victims include another police officer and a firefighter. Police also killed the gunman. Officer Mitchell is survived by his fiancée and 4 children. You can help support them by donating to a memorial fund. You can find those details at WCCO.com.
A suspicious fire could not stop a church congregation from making a joyful noise. Someone broke into St. Jerome Catholic Church in Maplewood Sunday morning. They set a keyboard and an American flag on fire. Firefighters doused those flames, and worshipers celebrated Mass anyway, despite the smoky smell.
I was hearing all these people singing their hearts out, and it was kind of like the Who's down in Whoville. You know, the Grinch couldn't steal our joy.
The musical director says she'll keep thanking God that no one was hurt and let police handle the rest. The FBI and ATF are also investigating that case. Members of the Survivor Network of those abused by priests, SNAP, are accusing the Archdiocese of hiding predator priests. The SNAP network says 5 priests known to be abusers in other dioceses are currently in the Twin Cities, and now they are asking the Archbishop to make their names public. The group says the men are a threat to children who might have contact with them.
It would be tempting to think that maybe Archbishop Hebda just overlooked these names, but it's very hard for us to believe that, because some of these men have been outed by other church officials 5 and 6 and 7 years ago.
In a statement, Archbishop Bernard Hebda said, in part, per our policy and protocol, we have already begun the process of investigating the names of the individuals brought forward today. If the criteria are satisfied, we will add the names as we have done on previous occasions, end quote. Hebda thanked the victims for bringing those names to his attention.
Yeah. Whew, you are seeing some really strong wind gusts in front of a rainstorm.
Phenomenal.
This was in southern Minnesota.
Wow.
This was yesterday. It was just west of Albert Lee. So how big is that hail, do you think? Yeah.
That's huge.
Okay, there we go. 1.5 inches.
Wow.
It hits parts of the state. Kylie sending in this picture from Watson, which is in western Minnesota. It's right near Montevideo. Ed sending us a picture of the hail pounding his porch. This one is in Park Rapids.
Oh,
It's making quite a splash. This is up. Ooh, look at Potato Lake. My goodness.
Yeah.
Let's check in with Joseph this morning, who had warned us all day yesterday that the severe weather was coming there up north.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't get much here in the metro, but they sure got hit hard there.
Yeah, they definitely did. Hail, wind damage. We saw a lot of video and footage out of Crosby in the Aiken area also yesterday because of what is suspected to be a tornado. And so we had just a lot going on yesterday. That hail that we saw from Kylie out of Watson, that was the severe thunderstorm warning that we were tracking in the morning hours. It was very busy. Well, hey, we are not completely finished with the rain across the state of Minnesota. We do have another system kind of passing through. It's just the stalled front that's been hanging on. Once the front passes by, the rain threat will come with it. But you can see it out towards Marshall, creeping into New Ulm, out towards areas like Gaylord and over towards Le Sueur there along 212. It's going to be pretty heavy, and there may be just a few embedded thunderstorms this morning. Here's a better way to look at it. You can see that you're in the clear up north. You have time to just kind of breathe. Clouds are definitely moving on in. This will take this trajectory down to the southeast. If we see some rain around here, I think the best bet's going to be right around 9 to 11 a.m. Here's all the hail reports from yesterday. Yeah, the wind damage as well. Hail around the Twin Cities too and out towards the west. So it was a very busy day. We knew it would be. Today, though, we should have some dry time, and this afternoon is just going to be phenomenal. Up to the north, temperatures in the mid-70s today. Grand Rapids, 75. Over towards Bemidji, about the same. And Detroit Lakes coming in at 78. Maybe a few isolated thunderstorms north there near the border, but overall, I think we're going to be pretty quiet across the state as we get into the afternoon. 83 for St. Cloud, 82 for Anoka, and watch down to the south. We have a couple thunderstorm icons here. That is because of that rain that's moving in here early this morning. All right, once we get through that, though, we are completely dry for our Friday. And then a spike on Saturday and even a chance for some rain showers early next week. We'll break down the weekend forecast. It's going to be a busy one. I'll have this rain timed out. We'll talk about rain tolls, too, because it could be a soaker. I'll get to that here in just a few minutes.
All right, Joseph, thank you. Let's quickly check out your next drive as well. Let's take you down to the Burnsville area. We've got a car on fire. This is going to be on 35W. This is southbound, so traffic that's headed toward Lakeville. So this is the viewpoint from 35 at Burnsville Parkway. You can see first responders on scene telling traffic to move over this morning. Fire truck on scene too. So it looks like the fire is out. Looks like at least we've got one lane blocked right now. The backup is not necessarily growing all that much. So here's the viewpoint from Highway 13. This would be the camera farther back, just one stop back. So it's not backing up traffic necessarily all that much. But give yourself an extra few minutes as you're making your way down south to Lakeville or Owatonna or other parts south from 35W, because you will run into a little bit of a backup with that vehicle on fire. There's a chance many of you had 3 days off. That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Survey of 100 CEOs found that nearly a third of them are exploring the idea of a 4-day, a 4.5-day work week, possibly.
Okay, but what are the benefits of this 4-day work week? It's a good question. Our Jeff Wagner explains some of the traits that help businesses extend their weekends.
If fresh air, sunshine, and a hands-on connection to nature sound nice to you, there's a job opening at Home Sown Gardens.
The labor is very intense that we do.
But with that comes an extra day of rest, since the full-time staff work 4 10-hour days. Tammy Gallagher is the owner.
It could be they work 4 in a row, or it could be that they have 2 on, 2 off. It really just varies.
Why is your business model conducive to a 4-day work week?
Most of our work is done between the months of April and November. So we have to take advantage of every opportunity of daylight hours that is available.
From home gardens to work from home.
I think we might be getting more done in 32 hours than we were before at 40.
Mike Arney's team at Halftone Digital, a company that creates apps, work Monday through Thursday.
I think we're in a really, honestly, a pretty privileged position just working within the digital field. It allows this level of flexibility.
What prompted a change to a 4-day work week?
Well, I think the pandemic changed everything. We realized that we could be just as efficient working from home.
Whether working 4 days out of necessity or realized opportunity, both businesses feel the benefit of a 3-day weekend.
I think, work hard, play hard is kind of our motto.
It's true work-life balance, in my opinion.
In 2022, 61 companies participated in a trial, switching to a 4-day workweek model for 6 months. Some were Monday to Thursday, others sprinkled the third day off where possible. At the end, 92% of the companies stuck with the 4-day workweek, many of them permanently. Workers reported feeling less stress and burnout, productivity held steady, and worker retention improved.
We do not struggle to hire.
Overwhelmingly, 89% of U.S. workers want a 4-day work week, but only 12% say it's an option at their employer.
There's an inherent hesitation to do something that is seemingly just so drastic.
Arnie recognizes not every sector, such as education, can so easily switch to 4 days or split up work days across a longer work week like Home-Sown Gardens. But he asks, why not try?
I think that there's a lot that can be done with pilot programs for maybe even just a month to say, like, okay, what does this really look like towards in affecting our bottom line? What does this look like towards morale?
With photojournalist Jose Pascual, Jeff Wagner, WCCO News.
Survey found that 89% of people would make sacrifices to have a 4-day work week, like longer hours or changing jobs.
Yeah. Yes. So this leads us to our question of the day. Would you prefer a 4-day work week? Let us know. Please let us know. Chime in right now. Scan the QR code. It's on your screen. You can also go to WCCO.com/connect. Going to get your thoughts on a 4-day work week a little bit later.
Okay.
Today, a story of hope for those of you who might think that it's never play their favorite sport again.
Yeah, coming up, how a clever invention is getting disabled golfers back to standing and swinging. Plus, celebrating Prince at the Twins game. We'll tell you about the special giveaways that are happening tonight. is one of the most popular sports in the country, but it does require a lot of walking and standing, and that makes it inaccessible for many people. But there is one club in Illinois that is trying to change that. Eric Graver shows us how.
The advantages of inclusion, I think, is the name of the game.
The Freeport Golf Club knows the game, and now they're helping more people play it, purchasing a machine designed to let people with disabilities play 18.
Kind of our whole philosophy through the whole thing was all-inclusive. We want everybody to have the opportunity to play.
Anthony Netto, a co-inventor of the Verticat, was paralyzed from the waist down after being hit by a drunk driver. Fueled by his own challenges, Netto set out to make a device to stand while playing.
I understand the joys of sitting come with problems, and that is you sit too long, you get bed sores. And when I watched that happen, I ended up being told if you can do enough standing therapy, we needed to make sure that we were actually wanting to do something fun standing.
I have an excuse if I hit a bad one. What's yours?
A first lieutenant in the South African Army and a veteran of Desert Storm, Netto soon began to realize the good he could do for so many.
The need was greater here in America with all my fellow wounded veterans. The Veterans Administration has also realized that it's a really good product to motivate our wounded to get outdoors and get a life again. You live again. You know, you get a second chance, and there are enough reasons to stand.
His impact already reached the Freeport Club years ago. Chris Heibach, a former city and county golf champion, was paralyzed in an accident in 2015. Like Netto, golf was one of the first things that came to mind after the life-changing incident.
When that happens to you, lots of stuff go through your mind, right? But actually, golf was right at the top of the list. I've been playing since I've been 10 years old. Loved the game my whole life.
While he was still in the hospital, a friend had found the standing wheelchair online.
I haven't even gone through my surgery yet. You know, I want to go golfing.
It didn't take him long to realize he could get back to doing what he does best.
Woo! I'm sitting in a machine that I can go golfing with almost like I used to. Completely different, but the game's still there, and I enjoy it more today probably than I ever have. I do. I really do.
Matt Spielman, the head golf pro at the Freeport Club, has been friends with Heibach for decades. He's seen firsthand what the machine offers and what it can do for so many others.
You know, we played a lot of golf together. To see his dedication to the game after his accident, I mean, it's something that I can't even fathom. Like, to love something that much and be that dedicated to it, it's really impressive to see. And really just to give other people the opportunity to enjoy the golf course. And this just kind of gives us another avenue to bring in more people that wouldn't normally have the opportunity to do it.
The ultimate mulligan, swinging again in life and on the fairway.
This machine here saved my life. It really did. My wife probably had a little part to do with that too. My wife and this machine are probably the reason that I'm here.
Great story from Eric Graver there, yeah. Saving lives there. No doubt about that. How cool. Coming up today, the Twins are going to host the 7th Prince Night. This will be over at Target Field. This celebrates the life and legacy of Minnesota music icon. Also, the 40th anniversary of Purple Rain, both the movie and the album. Wow. 40 years. There are 2 different ticket options and giveaways. So if you buy the special limited quantity tickets, you'll get into the game, but you'll also get an exclusive Prince track jacket. First 5,000 fans will receive a Purple Prince baseball hat. So the Twins will take on the Oakland A's. That'll be tonight at 6:40. Here's Mike Max with a look at what's coming up in sports.
The Minnesota Twins are back in action, trying to continue a hot streak that included 17 runs yesterday. That was against the Colorado Rockies, not a very good team. The good news for them, not a very good team in town this weekend. The Oakland A's at Target Field for the first of 3. The Minnesota Vikings concluding minicamp this week. There was an interesting side story to it. Kevin O'Connell, of course, coaches the Minnesota Vikings, but on Tuesday he spent time at a funeral. That for Jamal Mitchell. See, O'Connell's dad was a member of law enforcement as well, so he felt it was important that he was there for all the right reasons.
It was something that hit a chord for me, you know, coming from law enforcement in my family, but then even more so, you know, he did work our games. He was a part of our game day, you know, outfit that worked our games. He was right outside the Delta Club where I come out to the field.
Big day in high school sports. The state baseball tournament is here. Games at 3 different sites. We'll have it covered. Plus, state lacrosse tournament moves to the semifinal rounds for both boys and girls. We've got it all covered. We'll see you at 6 and 10 at WCCO TV. For CBS News Minnesota, I'm Mike Max with your morning sports update.
Thanks, Maxie. Coming up, we'll have another update on your next weather, plus more of this morning's top headlines. Stay with us. Thank you.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pauline Lee. Joseph Dames will have your next weather forecast in just a minute. But first, happening today, there will be an informational picket at MSP. Flight attendants across the U.S., Europe, and Asia, they're still working on negotiating contracts. The picket is being organized by 2 groups, the Association of Professional Flight Attendants and the Association of Flight Attendants Communication Workers of America. They will be holding an informational picket at Terminal 1 from 11 until 1 p.m. Also happening today, the Twins will be hosting the 7th annual Prince Night at Target Field. It celebrates the life and the legacy of the Minnesota music icon. Also the 40th anniversary of his legendary Purple Rain movie and album. There are 2 different ticket options and giveaways. Fans who purchase special limited quantity tickets will get into the game and also receive an exclusive Prince track jacket. The first 5,000 fans will be receiving a purple Prince baseball hat. Now, the Twins take on the Oakland Athletics tonight at 6:40. Taking out onto the roads right now, we are just monitoring one minor incident here. This is up near Arden Hills, near the exit for Ramsey County I. going on 35W southbound. Here you can see the ambulance there. The car has now moved, and you still see a couple of state troopers there, but that's not impacting traffic. For the most part, we're doing pretty well traffic-wise as you head out the door this morning. So let's get a check of our forecast with meteorologist Joseph Dames.
Not to discuss as far as the weather goes this morning, at least yet. We are seeing some clouds finally move on in here after a really nice sunrise. We have a stalled front, and along that frontal boundary, we are seeing some showers and even some thunder showers develop. So this is going to continue to move south and southeast. It's going to be more bothersome out towards the Minnesota River Valley and down to the southwest there, but it is approaching counties like Carver County and Scott County here this morning. 68 degrees with some clouds in place. These are the storm reports from yesterday. We have more storms this week.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Next on WCCO Mornings, Minneapolis police shoot and kill a man overnight. What Chief Brian O'Hara is saying about the incident. Plus, the report expected to be released today for the Feeding Our Future fraud trial. Why FBI agents raided a home for answers. And damage across the state from the powerful storms overnight to look at the hardest hit areas. Then later, a parking problem? No more. A local solution that makes it easier for people using accessible vehicles. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to WCCO WCCO Mornings, streaming live on CBS News Minnesota. I'm Pauline Lee. Shayla Reeves has a day off. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get straight to your top headlines this morning because we are following breaking news. The BCA is investigating after Minneapolis police shot and killed a man overnight. This happened after police responded to 2 calls for help within 3 miles of each other in South Minneapolis. Now, police believe the 2 calls were related, both mentioning a man with a gun acting irrationally. The first call came in just after 9 o'clock last night on the 3000 block of 29th Avenue. That's in the Standish neighborhood. The second call came in about 16 minutes later in the 3400 block of Hiawatha Avenue. It's about 3 miles away from that first location. Now, Chief Brian O'Hara says police eventually found a man on Hiawatha who fit the description given on the calls and began to chase him. Now, they say that there was a confrontation at the end of the chase. The chief says officers asked the man several times to drop the gun, but he did not listen. Of the 4 officers involved, 3 shot the man. He was taken to the hospital where he died from his injuries.
I'm thankful that no one else was harmed from the community by this. Because it appears that we have a case of someone who is armed, threatening folks in 2 different places here, and just not acting normally.
Chief O'Hara says he stands by his officers on their decision to shoot the man. He also adds the gun recovered from the man appears to have been jammed. Now, today also marks exactly 2 weeks since the last time Minneapolis police shot and killed a man. On May 30th, MPD shot and killed a man who ambushed and killed Officer Jamal Mitchell. 2 other people died that day and more were hurt, including another police officer and a firefighter. Federal investigators are still trying to figure out who tried to bribe a juror in the Feeding Our Future fraud trial with a big bag of cash. Yesterday, armed federal agents raided a string of suburban homes searching for answers. WCCO's David Schumann spoke with a surprised neighbor about what she witnessed.
This is the FBI. Come to the front door. Your hands up.
An FBI raid accompanied Candy Hansen's morning coffee Wednesday.
Then all of a sudden I hear loud yelling outside. It scared me. I kind of creep out the window to see what's going on, and here's about 5, 6 undercover police officers and the FBI, banging on the doors and yelling.
She watched as women and children were shuttled out of the house across the street from her in Savage. What she didn't know is similar raids were also happening at a second home in Savage, along with Burnsville and Shakopee. Our cameras were there in the afternoon to see FBI agents outside that house in Shakopee. All 4 raided homes belonging to defendants convicted in the Feeding Our Future fraud trial that wrapped up last week. 5 people were found guilty in the case that involves stealing more than $40 million from a program meant to feed children during the pandemic. A thunderbolt hit the trial on its last day when someone delivered $120,000 in cash to a juror's home, a presumed bribe attempt. That juror called police and was dismissed from the trial. The FBI is in charge of investigating where that money came from.
Ransacked everything in the house. They were there for a couple hours. I didn't expect this out of today. I would have never expected it from them. They're the nicest people in the world. It's crazy.
2 defendants in the case were acquitted, but there are still 45 more people expected to go on trial for the fraud scheme, which prosecutors say added up to $250 million. 18 people have already pleaded guilty. David Schumann, WCCO News.
And new this morning, a change of venue has been granted for the man accused of killing Madeline Kingsbury. She's the woman from Winona who disappeared after dropping off her 2 children at daycare in March of last year. Adam Fravel, her ex-boyfriend, was accused of her murder after her body was found. Now, because of the case's publicity, Winona County will no longer be the ones to try Fravel. The court has yet to figure out which county will move the case to. A Minneapolis man is now facing new charges after being indicted for bombing a hair salon. Now, this happened back in November of 2022 at Salon 411 in the Bryn Mawr neighborhood. A Ring video camera caught a man using handmade explosives that caused damage to the inside and the outside of the building. A year later, new video caught the accused man throwing a rock through the hair salon's window. Now, he was initially charged back in April with damaging a business. Now he's charged with 1 count of malicious use of explosive materials to damage a Minneapolis property. A new proposal could pump the brakes on drive-through fast food in the state's capital city. Now, this comes 5 years after Minneapolis banned new drive-through facilities within city limits. St. Paul leaders believe these changes could increase pedestrian safety. Now, the ban is just on new construction, so businesses that already have a drive-through window, they get to keep them. St. Paul's city planner says this service model doesn't align with the city's plan.
Our long-range plan for the city is for our new development to be generally more pedestrian and transit-oriented, and drive-throughs are, generally speaking, contrary to that.
Now, the Planning Commission will not make a recommendation to the full council until at least August. Now, the children of Sandy Hook Elementary are walking across the stage and getting their diplomas.
We all are carrying their memory through us and making sure that they're walking the stage right there with us.
Now, these seniors were the first graders in 2012 when 20 of their classmates were killed along with 6 faculty members. The class of 2024 wore green ribbons and bracelets with the message "Forever in Our Hearts." Several of the survivors are part of the Junior Newtown Action Alliance, sharing their experience with lawmakers in a quest to change the nation's gun laws. And today, a building on the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School campus in Parkland, Florida, is set to be demolished. 6 years ago, 17 people were killed in the building during a mass shooting. Officials hope to finish the demolition before school starts back up in August. Well, check this out. Overnight, we saw heavy hail pounding picnic tables and trees twisting in the wind. Well, there were several suspected tornado touchdowns up north as well. The damage reports, they are rolling in. There are many downed trees in the Brainerd Lakes area, like one that dropped on Darletta's home last night. And check this out, the mess just across north of Crosby. That is Darletta's house, by the way. There is a street under all of those trees. There are some broken branches. Some of those branches actually impaled the siding and the shingles on this home. The wind also flipped up unlucky owner's camper on its head there. Let's take a live look outside right now. As you can see, oh, this is up north. Look at that, a beautiful sunrise underway. Calm after all of the storms overnight. A lot of cleanup to be had today. So let's check in with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames. Busy night, hoping for at least a little bit of a break here.
We'll get a break today and a break tomorrow as well. But you're right, we had the combination of hail and the wind damage yesterday. Very, very aggressive storms that all formed up to the north and then moved down to the southeast yesterday evening and into the night hours. Today, there's some dry time in the forecast. You can breathe a little bit, and hopefully you don't have much damage or much clutter to have to really clean up for today. But if you do, today is going to be a day that you should have the opportunity to get out there and do some of those things. Just be careful with that. 78 degrees for Detroit Lakes today, out towards Brainerd there. Temperatures coming in at about 80 degrees. And just to the south, we're probably working to the lower 80s, so just a little bit warmer. But we are watching some showers and maybe even a couple rumbles of thunder here early this morning that will be passing through the Minnesota River Valley into the south and the southern portion of the state. And eventually it will work its way into areas of Wisconsin. But it may clip some of the counties nearby. In fact, you can start to see the cloud coverage moving on in. We had some sunshine this morning, and it was so nice, but now the clouds are starting to work through. So next 12 hours here, expected to be mostly cloudy. If we end up seeing some rain, I think that window is still going to be between 9 and 11 a.m., maybe even a little bit beyond that. Likely going to be south of us, though. You can see by about 2 p.m. we get back to the sunshine after those clouds depart, and then we really wrap up the day nicely. Just a swell late afternoon and evening forecast. Today, temperatures warming up to about 82 degrees. So we'll watch out for the showers. I'm going to take you out to the radar in just one moment because I'll help pinpoint where they're at right now, where they're heading, and what's likely going to happen. Once we get through that, though, what is next is going to be that really nice Friday forecast, and then I'm still tracking rain on Saturday and maybe some thunderstorms on Sunday as well for Father's Day. All right, here's what's going on right now. This is 8:40 right here. We have the clear conditions up north. We saw that shot coming out towards Duluth, which was just beautiful, but the clouds have pretty much taken over now, and the rain is moving through as well, and it's going to continue to move from west to the east as we go through the morning along a stall so-called boundary, so pretty much a front that hasn't moved all that much, but it will. And as it does, along that boundary, we'll see those showers continue to form. So there's 9 a.m., very close to Hennepin County, definitely clipping some of the counties down to the south, and then it'll continue to push and pull down to the southeast. And as it does, we may see a couple thunderstorms there, but clearing will start happening from the north down to the south, and that will get us back to the sunshine this afternoon. Maybe a couple stray showers up north today as well. Overall, it should be dry, though, as we go into the overnight and into tomorrow morning. And by tomorrow afternoon, we're back to the 80s. Now, this particular weather model has some clouds and stray showers late Friday night into Saturday, but the main event's actually going to pull in from the south on Saturday, bringing in some rain for us. It's also going to cool us down a little bit. So we're going to go from the 80s on Friday to the 70s on Saturday, and notice on Father's Day, a hot and humid forecast. We'll pick this back up at 8:30 on Saturday. Here comes that rain moving in from the south. It's going to be very wet. It's going to move slowly, eventually reaching us later in the day and likely sticking around for most of the night and into Sunday morning. And that's when we'll collect a lot of moisture around here. All right, so we're going to stay pretty warm heading into next week, too. Father's Day, yeah, nearly 90. Tuesday, nearly 90 as well, Pauline. Thunderstorms in the forecast. Now, we have yet to hit 90 degrees. We may do it Sunday or sometime early next week. If not, it's just going to be warm and it's going to be stormy.
I mean, summer's right around the corner. Mine as well, Joseph. Mine as well.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Let's take you out onto the roads right now for your next drive, because we are just watching one incident here. This one on 35W southbound. This one's in the clearing stages here. Just one car off to the side. Traffic still moving along a little bit slow, but just keep in mind we are still in the heart of the morning rush hour commute. Other than that, let's take a look at the Metro-wide map. You see the other exclamation point there. These are just really minor incidents, nothing that's going to slow you down as you head out the door this morning. So good to go if you're headed out the door. Well, almost anywhere that you go has handicap parking, but that does not necessarily mean that people who use wheelchairs can park there. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield shows us how a suburban dad is trying to change that from his own garage.
It's a project engineer Brett Thorne never imagined he'd be working on.
So I started in the garage, building it out of 2x4s, building it out of whatever I could find laying around.
And now he's found purpose after watching his beloved cousin in a pinch.
We had to go visit the restaurant manager, trying to figure out whose car it was, get it moved so that she can put her ramp down and we can be on with our day.
So when you saw what Katerina was going through, it just kind of got you.
Really seeing it firsthand and having to deal with it is really when it became clear how big of an issue it is.
The woes of navigating handicap parking are well documented. So Brett, an engineer by day, got to work by night in his Chanhassen garage.
And Katerina just said, if only there was something that I could put out on the side of my vehicle that would stop people from parking there. And I was like, I think I could build you that.
And he did. Spot Saver is officially on the market. Brett says so far he has about 200 of these on back order, and he's heard from people as far away as Australia and the United Kingdom.
That was actually a huge surprise to me when I saw how many people commented on it, liked it, viewed it, shared it. It was pretty amazing feedback.
He and Katerina just had their first trade show in hopes of showing the world more dignity. With photojournalist Joe Berglove in Chanhassen, Susan Elizabeth Littlefield, WCCO News.
It's a pretty good idea. The Spot Saver costs $450 and is available online. Still to come, another update on weather, plus more of this morning's top headlines. Then, do you suffer from migraines? Some ideas to help you feel your best this summer. And the report's still rolling in as we check out more of the storm damage from those powerful storms overnight. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Well, as the temperatures continue to rise, the summer heat can trigger the next big headache. In your Health Watch this morning, nearly 40 million Americans suffer from migraines, making them one of the most common disorders in the world. Well, high temperatures, changes in atmospheric pressure, and intense sunshine can all trigger symptoms. Well, doctors aren't exactly sure why, but one theory is that the days get longer and we fall out of our normal routines. And folks who suffer from migraines tend to do better on a schedule. So to ward off an attack, experts say stick to your regular eating and sleeping habits and to get some exercise as well as manage your stress. And extreme heat, of course, is not just dangerous, it can be deadly. That's why scientists need your help this summer. Hennepin and Ramsey counties will take part in the Urban Heat Island Mapping campaign. Now, here's how it works. Volunteers will mount heat sensors on their cars, and then they'll drive planned routes to collect temperatures and humidity data. The mapping project is planned for the last Saturday in July, and volunteers will get a $25 debit card for helping. So if you'd like to sign up, we do have all the details on our website, WCCO.com. And another look at last night's storm damage here. Take a look at your screen. High winds destroyed this boat lift on Upper Whitefish Lake. That's near Pequot Lakes. And here's something that you don't see every day. Take a look closely. All those white splashes are hailstones slamming into the lake. And take a look at this video here. Oh, this is damage, if we can pull it up here, possibly from Crosby.
Oh my God. I wonder what my house looks like.
Well, this is new video that shows damage that we showed you in Crow Wing County. A flipped camper and trees down just everywhere. It's a mess. This is in Rabbit Lake. No word yet if anyone was hurt. Let's take a live look outside. Definitely calmer start to your morning here as we take a look. Got some clouds out there. Next Weather Tower shining green. Now let's check in with Next Weather meteorologist to time out the rest of how your day will look.
Well, the calm after the storms from yesterday. Happy Thursday. We should have some dry time today. Time to be outside and not have to worry about those storms developing, especially up north today. 70s to upper 70s, maybe some lower 80s out there towards Wadena and Brainerd and over towards the areas of Aiken County here. Those temperatures about the same. We'll top off around 82 in Anoka, Hastings 83, and down to the south today, a few passing showers early.
All right, Joseph, thanks. And did you play along in our poll today? We wanted to know, do you prefer a 4-day week? Hot topic right now. Marissa says, I work 4 10-hour shifts. I love having 3 days off, 1 for rest, 1 for responsibilities, and 1 for fun. I like how that all works out. Bia said, I'd like to think that I could make a 4-day work week work for me, but I do have some doubts. Would be nice, though. I hear ya. It could be nice. It would be an adjustment, though. Thank you for everyone for chiming in this morning. As always, we will continue to keep you up to date on the latest news and weather developments all day right here on the stream. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back with more news and weather headlines coming up after a quick break.